Hi everyone, today is Friday, April the 29th, 2022. I wasn't going to make a video today because I'm exhausted from having had a late night doing stuff for the auction for my kids' school, and I don't have makeup on, and so I don't like looking like hell. Especially if I've been doing yard work and doing stuff in the garden. But in any case, I was having these thoughts bubbling up that I wanted to express on this forum. So here goes. So today I want to talk about the metaverse, but I don't want to talk about the metaverse in the sense of the way people think about the metaverse. Usually when people think, we're all like this whole metaverse trend where people are going to be living in their mother's basement, playing video games and shit. And I almost, that version of the metaverse reminds me or makes me think of this movie called Idiocracy. It was from the 2006 or something. Idiocracy, great movie. It's about this guy who's in this time capsule, and he's a very average intelligence guy, and then something happens and he ends up in the future where everyone's an idiot, and and there's this garbage avalanche and whatever, and people are just playing on their video games, and they have almost like an IV line of Gatorade, and they're watering plants with a Gatorade version and whatnot. No, a lot of times when regular people talk about metaverse, they do that kind of visual comes to mind. But that's not why I want to talk about this. So, when I worked at Cisco many years ago, and I think in 2008 or 9 was when 8, 9, and 10, when I was in this one department where we did a lot of info stuff. I don't know what the stipulation of my NDA is, so I won't talk about the stuff I did there. However, we worked with a lot of metadata, MDM, metadata management. What is metadata? Metadata is data about data, which means it's not specifically okay, me, what is my name? My name is Rochelle. That field, that data field Rochelle, is not metadata. What is metadata is the data about the field name, right? It's about name as the field itself. That is metadata. Now, when you think about metadata, you have to think about so many things. Where does it link to? How secure is the field? What is the source data? What is the source code, so to speak? This whole concept of SSOT comes in, single source of truth, right? Well, that's a term we had at work, which was basically, so when you think about, say in finance, you can't have a revenue number or a sales number coming from one place and another place, right? You need to have a SSOT. You need to have a single source of truth. You need to have a field be populated at the most basic level, and then to be aggregated upwards. You can't have it sort of thrown at the top, so to speak, and then broken out and discounted and and fractionalized later on. You kind of need to have it at the very, very source level. And that term, the terms of each field, the study of that is metadata management. And so now when I hear about this whole thing about the metaverse, right, it's actually the data about the multiverse, let's say, not the universe, because, well, actually it could be the universe, because, you know, after all, ikagati, right? The Sanskritic concept of oneness, singularity, ultimately all the multis go into the one. So sure. So the universe, the data about about everything of everything, that is the metaverse. And I think it's very important for people to know that, because before they begin to disparage the metaverse, or begin to disparage or, you know, downplay it as this thing where, you know, your kids will be playing Roblox forever. So it's before you think about it that way, think about it in terms of that camera that sees you on your computer, where you're playing, whatever you're playing. That thing is almost like a consciousness of its own, and it's even if it is not actually recording everything about you, it is also recording, it's recording your decisions, you see. And the thing is, when you study how somebody makes decisions, you can derive a lot of well, you could call it like an algorithm, but it's deeper than that. It's like the study of how a person, how a culture, how a society, how people make decisions is a whole study on everything about them. And there's so much in the back end too, such as storage. Where is all of that being stored? We don't really think about that. Or not, we don't think about it. Many people don't think about it. I think about it, because where is all that storage going to be generated? On the cloud? What is that? What is that cloud? Are those what they call the Akashic records? Right? It's like it's funny. It can get kind of spiritual sometimes when you think about it this way, because it's like, so are we talking cloud storage? Are we talking Akashic records? Are we talking open source DeFi, but decentralized finance of the open source data sort, wherein everyone sees everything? So what does that mean? Is that nothing more than, like, you know, in a sense, the biblical and spiritual, actually, in Buddhist theology, not theology, Buddhist atheology, it's a matter of karma, right? What is karma other than like a shitty credit score, right? That's karma. You don't do the right things or whatever. Okay. And then and on the biblical side, it's like the eye of God, right? So at a level, at some level, I find it incredibly fascinating, this blending of it's almost as if the more a race becomes like atheistic and stops believing in any sort of moral code, moral compass, and oh God, come on, you guys, let me merge, will you? Thank you. It's like, as you know, at some level, it's almost like the more sciencey people get. And I say sciencey in terms of like, my husband used to say that, like at his work, he works in biotech, but at his previous company, like there were all these scientists people, and he was like, my God, do you know they're atheists? Many, not many of them actually. I think everybody he knew, or everybody, I shouldn't say anymore. They're atheists, but this way of thinking is actually, when people sometimes become, so it's like science becomes a religion. It's almost like, do you realize that conceptually what you're describing is the hand of God and karma and and consciousness and all those kind of like spiritual things that these same people will say are very woo-woo. I think that's hilarious. Anyways, back to the thing about the metaverse. I think there's a lot there, and I mean, I'm not talking like liquidity crisis notwithstanding, and credit market crisis and bond default crisis and all that notwithstanding. Oh, there was a cop there. Oh crap. Okay. Thank God I was going the speed. Well, I usually go the speed. I drive very slow. I like a grandmother. Anyways, but bond default and credit crisis and liquidity crisis notwithstanding, because a lot of times when markets tank and things happen like that, it's because of liquidity meaning the ability to have the legal tender that you need to use in order to buy something else that you are obligated to pay for, obliged to pay for. That's liquidity really. And so when you have a liquidity crisis, you sell everything, even things that have, say, promise in the future, so to speak. So liquidity crisis notwithstanding, because I'm pretty sure we're coming upon one anytime now. That notwithstanding, I think the metaverse has incredible amount of potential. So so that's what I have to say about that. And not just in terms of Ready Player One, that kind of stuff. I think it has more potential in a lot of different realms. Digital token currencies. It's almost like each sovereign country would become a sovereign game. Because how many of us are experiencing, and I may have to go now, the kids show up. How many of us are experiencing a time where, like, even within your own family, like people are like in a different zone, so to speak. They have their own interests in things, right? And so they connect with people that they have an interest in. Like, one kid likes one game, the other kid likes a different game altogether. Back in the day, you would, like, even if you wanted to watch a movie, say, everybody watches the same movie, the whole family watches a movie together. But now it's like, well, I'm just going to watch this movie on my phone, and someone else watches the other movie on their phone. So, why wouldn't each of those universes, hence a multiverse, have their own currency as well? Yeah. And I know that a lot of times socially we do think about this as very it's fragmented. Yeah, it is. I mean, I think you should establish those connections and bonds, really. Bonds. I don't mean financial bonds. Well, though, oh God, I've seen familial bonds go that way. But establishing bonds and connections within the family also is so important. At the same time, I think from a commercial perspective, and you know what, even as those family structures get messed up, which they're trying to so badly, Anyways, thank you for listening, and I will see you later because I'm picking up my kids now. Thank you. Bye. Hey, boys. Hi.
You got Coca-Cola?
Uh-huh. No, I got you Pepsi.
Beverage? Oh,
I got you pineapple. Ah! Oh!